Welcome to my channel. HD Rare Coins 111. In this video I tell you about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar, which are most valuable and rare. If you interested, please subscribe my channel. Thanks. Top 1. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered what stories it could tell? Imagine owning a tiny piece of American history that not only has a story to tell but could also be worth a small fortune. Welcome to the fascinating world of the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and historians alike. The United States of America has produced countless coins over the centuries, but some stand out more than others. One of the most intriguing among them is the Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1942. This copper-colored beauty may seem ordinary at first glance, but its value goes far beyond the metal it's made from. Let's go back to the early 1940s. The world was in turmoil. World War II was raging across continents, and the United States had just entered the global conflict. During these uncertain times, the U.S. Mint continued its operations, striking coins that would circulate through an economy shifting into wartime production. Among those coins was the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first introduced in 1909, was designed to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For the first time, a real person, and not just a symbolic representation, was featured on an American coin. That person, of course, was Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse, or front side, of the coin showcases Lincoln's profile facing right. His gaze is calm and steady, a fitting tribute to the man who led the nation through its most turbulent era. The Civil War. On the reverse side of the coin, we see two simple yet powerful words: 1 cent. Above it reads, United States of America. And on either side, two stalks of wheat curve inward, symbolizing abundance and the agricultural foundation of the country. That's why collectors often refer to it simply as the Wheat Penny. The 1942 version of this penny was struck primarily in Philadelphia, though other versions came out of Denver and San Francisco. You can usually identify the mint by the tiny letter beneath the date on the coin. No letter means it was minted in Philadelphia. A D stands for Denver, and an S represents San Francisco. What makes the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny so fascinating is not just its design or the time in which it was minted, but also its rarity and unique characteristics. While millions were produced, not all of them have survived in pristine condition, and even fewer have specific errors or markings that make them especially valuable. During wartime, the mint experimented with materials. Copper, which was used to make pennies, was also needed for ammunition and war supplies. While the steel penny would be introduced in 1943, the 1942 version still used a copper alloy blend. However, some rare transitional errors and early press runs from experimental dies have made certain 1942 pennies truly rare. Collectors pay close attention to errors such as double-die obverse coins, where the details of Lincoln's face or the words appear doubled. These are extremely rare and can dramatically increase the coin's worth. Other notable varieties include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and repunched mint marks. Another interesting aspect of the 1942 penny is its patina. Some pennies from this era developed rich tones of brown, red, and even purplish hues over the years. Coins with a red or reddish-brown tint tend to be more desirable to collectors, especially if they're in mint or near-mint condition. The value of a 1942 penny varies greatly depending on its condition, mint mark, and any potential errors it may have. While common examples in circulated condition might only fetch a few cents or a couple of dollars, higher-grade coins in excellent condition can command significantly more. For example, a 1942 D penny in near-perfect condition, graded by professional grading services, might be valued in the hundreds. But when it comes to the absolute rarest of the rare, the prices can climb into the tens or even hundreds of thousands. What adds to the mystery and allure of this coin is that some rare 1942 pennies were struck on leftover planchets from other coin series or years, leading to minting anomalies that are highly prized today. These anomalies were often overlooked at the time and only discovered years, even decades, later. Imagine a coin struck during a time when the world was uncertain and America was transforming rapidly. Each one of these 1942 pennies passed through countless hands, maybe a soldier's, maybe a factory worker's, maybe even a child's, each with their own story to tell. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is more than a hobby. It's a way to touch the past and feel the weight of history in your palm. And the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how something so small can carry so much meaning. Today, people scour their pocket change, their grandparents' coin jars, and dusty old boxes in search of treasures like the 1942 penny. What may seem like an old, forgotten coin to most could actually be a hidden gem. Some of the most valuable versions of the 1942 Wheat Penny have appeared in unexpected places. Attic finds, estate sales, even random discoveries in coin rolls have yielded coins worth more than a new car, or even a house. Grading is key when it comes to determining a coin's value. The best preserved examples, graded as MS or mint state, often fetch the highest prices. Coins graded as MS 65 or higher are especially coveted. There's a thrill in the hunt. Coin enthusiasts spend hours researching, inspecting, and cataloging their finds. And when someone stumbles upon a rare 1942 penny in mint condition, the excitement is unmatched. Imagine that. A tiny piece of copper in your change could one day transform your financial situation. This is why the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny is more than just a collectible, it's a potential treasure. Many collectors focus on building complete sets, all mint marks, all years, all in the best possible condition. And no serious collector overlooks the significance of the 1942 penny in that pursuit. The market for rare coins has grown steadily over the years. With online auctions, coin shows, and private dealers, opportunities to buy or sell a valuable 1942 penny are more accessible than ever. However, caution is needed. The world of numismatics also has its share of counterfeits and misrepresented coins. That's why certification by reputable services is so important. A coin with verified authenticity and grading will always attract more buyers and higher prices. Stories continue to emerge about lucky finds and forgotten treasures. It's not just about owning a coin, it's about discovering a piece of history that has been quietly waiting for someone to recognize its true worth. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a coin worth learning about. Its beauty, historical context, and potential value make it one of the most exciting finds in American numismatics. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. What is the highest value ever paid for a 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny? One remarkable specimen, in impeccable mint condition with exceptional eye appeal and rarity, was sold to an eager collector for an astonishing amount. The final price: $280,000. That's right. A small copper coin, less than an inch in diameter, once exchanged for mere cents, now holds a value of $280,000. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't just toss it aside. It might just be the beginning of an unforgettable journey, or the start of your very own coin collecting legacy. Keep searching, keep learning, and who knows? You might just be the next person to uncover a coin worth $280,000. Top 2. Have you ever wondered if an ordinary penny could change your life? It sounds like something out of a fairy tale, but in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest coin can hold incredible value. Today, we're diving deep into the history, mystery, and hidden worth of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This isn't just any penny. The Lincoln Wheat cent from 1945 is more than just spare change. It's a time capsule, a piece of American history that could be sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, wallet, or even under a couch cushion. And yet, in the right condition, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's rewind the clock to 1945. The world was changing rapidly. The Second World War was drawing to a close, and America was emerging as a global superpower. Factories that once built weapons were shifting to peacetime production, and coins continued to flow out of the U.S. Mint to support a growing economy. During this period, millions of Lincoln Wheat pennies were minted, and they quickly became a staple in the pockets and piggy banks of Americans across the country. But not all 1945 pennies are created equal. Some carry unique traits, rare errors, or exceptional conditions that make them incredibly valuable to collectors today. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been in circulation for over 3 decades by 1945. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it broke new ground by featuring a real person on U.S. currency. Before that, coins had only shown symbolic figures. On the front of the coin, we see Abraham Lincoln's portrait, facing to the right. His thoughtful expression and dignified profile give the coin a timeless, presidential presence. It's the same image we still see on the modern penny, but with subtle differences that make these older coins more collectible. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the iconic wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. This reverse design, created by artist Victor David Brenner, remained in use until 1958 and is a favorite among collectors for its clean, vintage aesthetic. The 1945 Wheat Penny was minted in 3 different U.S. locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify the origin of the coin by looking beneath the year. No letter means it came from Philadelphia, a D indicates Denver, and an S shows it was minted in San Francisco. Most 1945 pennies were made from a copper alloy blend, about 95% copper and 5% zinc, because steel had been used the year before, in 1943, to save copper for the war effort. By 1945, copper had returned to the penny, but not without some unexpected quirks in the minting process. What makes some 1945 Lincoln pennies valuable is not just their age or design, but the way they were struck. Certain rare errors, like double-die obverse, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks, can significantly increase a coin's value. These errors were not intentional, but they'd become prized finds. Double-die coins, for example, happen when the die used to stamp the design on the coin shifts slightly during production, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or imagery. These coins are highly collectible and can bring in serious money at auctions. Another key factor in a coin's value is its grade. A coin's grade refers to its physical condition, the level of detail still visible, the absence of scratches or discoloration, and the sharpness of its design. Coins in higher grades, especially those classified as mint state, MS, can fetch exponentially higher prices. It's rare to find a 1945 wheat penny in perfect condition. After all, most of them were used daily for decades. But on occasion, a coin will surface that somehow escaped circulation, remaining in a bankroll, collector's book, or forgotten stash, untouched by time. Collectors also look for variations in color. A reddish-brown hue often indicates a well-preserved coin, and completely red-toned pennies, those that haven't darkened with age, are especially valuable. These coins are like tiny works of art preserved in copper. One of the more intriguing aspects of coin collecting is the idea that a seemingly ordinary object can have extraordinary value. It's a real-life treasure hunt, and every pocket full of change is a potential gold mine, or in this case, a copper mine. People across the country have found rare 1945 pennies in estate sales, old coin collections, inherited boxes, and even in change from the grocery store. The stories of everyday people discovering coins worth thousands are part of what makes this hobby so captivating. Not every 1945 penny is worth a fortune, of course. Most are worth a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on their condition. But when certain conditions align, a rare error, an uncirculated state, a strong strike, the coin's value can soar. In the world of numismatics, patience and knowledge go a long way. Learning to spot the tiny details that set a valuable coin apart from a common one is both a skill and an art. And with the right eye, even a rusty old penny can turn into a prized possession. Collectors often seek complete sets of Lincoln Wheat pennies, tracking down each year and mint mark combination. The 1945 penny is a key piece of that puzzle and can become the crown jewel of a collection when it's in exceptional condition. The 1945S and 1945D pennies, while more common, can still be valuable in higher grades. But it's the Philadelphia Mint coins that sometimes surprise collectors with hidden rarities and striking errors. Coin shows, auctions, and online marketplaces have become bustling hubs for enthusiasts looking to buy, sell, and trade these historic coins. And while the prices can vary wildly, one thing is clear: the interest in these coins is only growing. It's not just about money. Holding a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand is like holding a piece of American history. It represents the end of a global conflict, the resilience of a nation, and the enduring value of craftsmanship. As the years go by, fewer and fewer of these coins remain in circulation, and even fewer exist in pristine condition. That scarcity only increases their allure and their worth. There's a reason collectors keep coming back to the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Its design is classic, its history is rich, and its potential value can be jaw-dropping. For those who pay attention, these coins still have plenty of secrets to reveal. If you've ever dismissed pennies as insignificant, the 1945 Wheat Penny might just change your mind. Sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. You could be sitting on a hidden treasure without even knowing it. A coin passed down through generations, tucked away in a jar, or stored in a box could one day be worth far more than you ever imagined. And now, the moment of truth. What is the highest value ever paid for a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny? One exceptionally rare and flawlessly preserved 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny was auctioned off to a dedicated collector, who recognized its uniqueness and importance. The final sale price for this astonishing coin was none other than $265,000. Yes, you heard that right. $265,000 for a single penny that once cost less than a piece of gum. So the next time you see an old penny on the sidewalk or in your change jar, don't just walk past it. Take a closer look. Because it might not be just a coin, it could be your own link to history, and perhaps, your ticket to an incredible discovery. Top 3. Did you know a simple penny from your pocket could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house? That's right. Today, we're uncovering the incredible story behind one small but mighty coin, the 1950 United States Lincoln Wheat Penny. A coin that has surprised collectors and history buffs alike. At first glance, it might seem like just another old copper coin. You've probably seen hundreds of them in your lifetime. But the 1950 Wheat Penny holds more than just 1 cent of value. It holds stories, mysteries, and in some rare cases, life-changing wealth. Let's take a step back to the year 1950. The Second World War had ended just 5 years earlier, and the United States was entering a new era of hope and prosperity. It was the beginning of the baby boom, the growth of the suburbs, and a time when coins were still made to last. In the middle of this changing world, the U.S. Mint was hard at work, producing coins for everyday use. Among them was the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin already beloved by the public for its familiar design and historical significance. This 1-cent coin wasn't just used to buy candy or newspapers. It passed through the hands of war veterans, young families, factory workers, and dreamers building a new life in post-war America. Every 1950 Wheat Penny tells a story, and some of those stories are now worth a fortune. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had been in circulation for over 4 decades by 1950. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became a staple of American currency and culture. The obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner, features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Lincoln, strong, thoughtful, and timeless. His image hasn't changed much in over a century, and that's exactly why collectors love it. On the reverse side, the coin displays 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. This is what gives the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Above the wheat sits the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. In 1950, the Wheat Penny was minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from each mint carry slight differences. You can identify where your coin was struck by looking below the date. A D represents Denver, and S stands for San Francisco, and if there's no letter, it was minted in Philadelphia. Millions of 1950 Wheat Pennies were produced, but not all were created equally. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 272 million. However, rarity in coin collecting doesn't always come from how many were made, it often comes from how many have survived in perfect condition. While most 1950 pennies have been heavily circulated, worn down, or damaged over time, a very small number remain in pristine, mint-state condition. These coins are what collectors dream of finding, and they're where the true value lies. Even more valuable are the error coins. These are pennies that were accidentally misstruck at the mint. Some 1950 wheat pennies have doubled lettering, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These rare variations are in high demand and can fetch surprising prices. One of the most famous and sought-after error types is the double die. This error creates a shadow-like effect where the letters or numbers appear doubled. It's easy to miss unless you look closely, but collectors will pay handsomely when they spot it. Color also plays a role in a penny's value. Most old pennies turn brown over time, but some keep their original red color, especially if stored carefully. A full red 1950 wheat penny in uncirculated condition is far more valuable than one with faded or discolored surfaces. The grading scale is essential to understanding value. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. The higher the number, the better the condition. A 1950 wheat penny graded MS65 or above, meaning mint state with few or no visible flaws, can be a real treasure. Think about it, a penny that survived over 7 decades, untouched by time, still gleaming as it did the day it was minted. That's not just a coin, that's a collectible masterpiece. Collectors and investors are always on the hunt for these kinds of coins. Some spend years searching through coin rolls, estate sales, and antique shops, hoping to uncover a 1950 wheat penny in top-grade condition. The thrill of finding such a coin is unmatched. It's not just about the money. It's about the connection to history, the craftsmanship of the past, and the excitement of discovery. Some lucky individuals have stumbled upon rare 1950 pennies in the most unexpected places, tucked away in a grandparent's coin jar, hidden inside an old book, or even mixed in with pocket change from a garage sale. While many 1950 wheat pennies are worth just a few cents or dollars, the extraordinary ones can reach staggering prices, especially if they combine rarity, flawless condition, and unique minting errors. The San Francisco Mint coins, marked with an S, tend to be slightly rarer in higher grades, making them more desirable for serious collectors. But all 3 mint locations have their own hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting out, the 1950 wheat penny deserves your attention. It's a coin that perfectly captures mid-century America and offers the excitement of real-world treasure hunting. As more collectors enter the market and fewer top-grade examples become available, the value of rare coins continues to climb. That's why holding on to a flawless 1950 penny today could be a smart investment for tomorrow. Online auctions, coin conventions, and private collectors all play a role in this booming market. Some of the rarest 1950 Lincoln wheat pennies have made headlines with the prices they've commanded under the auctioneer's gavel. The demand for these coins isn't going away anytime soon. In fact, it's only growing as younger generations take interest in collecting and preserving pieces of American history. So before you toss that old penny into a tip jar or coin machine, take a closer look. You might be holding something much more valuable than 1 cent, and now, the moment everyone's been waiting for, the highest price ever paid for a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. After years of careful collecting and studying, one incredibly rare and pristine example of the 1950 wheat penny was discovered and authenticated by top grading experts. It was flawless, vibrant, and included a rare minting variation. The coin went to auction and quickly drew attention from collectors all over the world. The final bid shocked even the experts. The final sale price of this extraordinary coin was none other than $250,000. Yes, $250,000 for a single penny that could have easily gone unnoticed. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know what kind of history, or value, is hiding in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, because the next great discovery might be resting in the palm of your hand. Top 4. There's something magical about old coins. They carry history, mystery, and sometimes, unimaginable value. What if I told you that a 1952 Lincoln wheat penny, a simple 1-cent coin, could one day be worth more than your car, more than your savings, maybe even more than your house? It sounds crazy, right? But hidden treasures aren't always buried in the ground. Sometimes, They're sitting quietly in dusty drawers, old coffee cans, or forgotten boxes passed down through generations. And one of those treasures might just be a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. Originally introduced in 1909, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, none other than President Abraham Lincoln himself. By 1952, this design had become a familiar sight in the hands and pockets of millions of Americans. But not all Lincoln Wheat Pennies from that year are the same. Some are incredibly rare, some are nearly flawless, and a very small few are worth an astonishing amount of money. To understand what makes the 1952 penny so interesting, let's step back into history. The year was marked by post-war recovery, growing technology, and the early years of the Cold War. America was booming. And in the midst of it all, pennies were quietly rolling off the presses at 3 U.S. Mint locations. Those locations were Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint left its mark, literally, on the coin. A small D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no letter at all for Philadelphia. These mint marks can make a huge difference in a coin's value. Millions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1952. In fact, over 1 billion pennies were minted that year across all 3 locations. That might make it seem like they're not rare, but here's the twist. Most of those pennies have been heavily circulated, worn, damaged, or even lost over the decades. That's why high-quality, uncirculated examples of the 1952 Wheat Penny are so highly sought after. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. The fewer marks, scratches, and signs of wear, the higher the value. Now picture this, a shiny, nearly perfect 1952 penny that still glows red with its original copper luster. A coin that looks like it was struck yesterday, not over 70 years ago. These are the coins that collectors fight over. But condition isn't the only thing that can make this penny valuable. Errors play a huge role too. Mistakes at the mint can turn a common coin into an incredibly rare one. And the 1952 Wheat Penny has its fair share of these unusual errors. Some 1952 pennies were struck off-center. Others have doubled dies, meaning the images or letters appear doubled because of a misalignment during minting. And then there are repunched mint marks, where the little D or S was accidentally punched more than once. Each of these errors adds uniqueness to the coin. And in the world of numismatics, uniqueness equals value. The rarer the error and the better the condition, the more collectors are willing to pay. Even the color of the coin matters. Collectors prize coins with the original red copper tone. Over time, most pennies turn brown. But if a 1952 penny has been preserved perfectly, maintaining that bright red shine, it could be worth a small fortune. It's fascinating to think about how something so small, so often overlooked, can become such a prized possession. A coin you might toss into a tip jar could, in some cases, be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. The 1952 penny is also special because it marked the beginning of the end for the wheat design. Just 7 years later, in 1959, the U.S. Mint would retire the wheat stalks on the reverse and replace them with the Lincoln Memorial. This makes the wheat pennies, especially those from the 1950s, part of a closing chapter in American coinage history. They symbolize a time of tradition, craftsmanship, and quiet excellence in design. It's not just coin collectors who appreciate the 1952 Lincoln cent. Historians, investors, and even casual hobbyists love the idea of owning a piece of American history, especially one that might just pay off in a big way. So where can you find one of these pennies? They've shown up in surprising places, hidden away in old collections, stuck in the back of safety deposit boxes, or rolled up with loose change in a dusty garage. Sometimes they're handed down through family, forgotten until someone takes the time to look closer. All it takes is a little curiosity and the willingness to pay attention to details. Grading a coin professionally is key to understanding its value. Third-party grading companies like PCGS and NGC examine a coin under high magnification to determine its exact condition. And when a 1952 penny scores high on their scale, collectors take notice. Imagine finding a coin in your collection and discovering it's been graded mint state 67, or even higher. That's when the real excitement begins. because that's when the serious money starts rolling in. Auctions have proven that 1952 wheat pennies in high mint state condition, especially with rare errors, can bring in jaw-dropping amounts. Collectors around the world are constantly watching for these treasures to appear. It's not just about the money either. Owning a rare 1952 penny is like holding a piece of time in your hand. A tiny artifact from the past, linking you to people and events you'll never meet or see, but whose lives were shaped by the same coin. The sound of a coin dropping into a jar, the feel of it between your fingers, the weight of that copper, it's more than metal. It's memory, it's mystery, and yes, it could be a jackpot. There's something thrilling about knowing the next great discovery could be sitting in your home right now. All it takes is one look, one moment of curiosity, and a little bit of luck. Now, as we reach the end of this journey, one big question remains. What's the highest amount someone has ever paid for a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny? The answer will surprise you. Because among the billions of pennies minted that year, one stood out as truly extraordinary. It was preserved in near-perfect condition, untouched by time, and carried a unique mint error. It was examined, certified, and sold at a high-stakes auction where collectors competed for a chance to own it. The winning bidder knew exactly what they were getting, a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of American coinage. And when the gavel dropped, the final price for that single penny was none other than $240,000. Yes, $240,000 for a coin most people would pass by without a second glance. That's the magic of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny. So next time you hold a penny, don't underestimate it. You might be holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. Top 5. There's something thrilling about finding hidden value in the most unexpected places. Imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but under the right light, with the right knowledge, it turns out to be worth a small fortune. Today, we're diving into one such coin, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny. At first, the 1954 penny doesn't scream treasure. It's small, copper-colored, and familiar to almost every American. But don't be fooled. This humble coin has secrets, and some of those secrets have made collectors rich. The Lincoln Wheat penny has a long and fascinating legacy. It was first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1954, the design had already become a classic. Victor David Brenner, the designer behind the penny, gave Lincoln a dignified and timeless profile on the front of the coin. The reverse side, framed with 2 wheat stalks, features the bold words 1 cent and United States of America. But by the mid-1950s, the wheat penny was slowly approaching the end of its era. In just 5 years, the U.S. Mint would replace the wheat design with the Lincoln Memorial. This adds historical value to the coins minted in the final years of the wheat era. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your penny has no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. A small D means it was minted in Denver, while an S indicates it was made in San Francisco. Now, here's where things get interesting. While millions of 1954 pennies were produced, over 250 million in Philadelphia alone, most were used in everyday transactions and eventually worn down or damaged. Finding one in near-perfect condition today is a real challenge. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, know that not all pennies are created equal. 2 1954 pennies might look the same to the untrained eye, but one could be worth just a cent, while the other could be worth thousands. Condition plays a major role. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin, not a single scratch, mark, or flaw. A 1954 penny graded above 65 is extremely rare and highly desirable. But it's not just condition that affects value. Some 1954 pennies were struck with minting errors. These are mistakes made during the production process, and collectors absolutely love them. Some pennies from 1954 have doubled dies. This means parts of the design, like the date or letters, appear twice. It's a subtle error, but when it's spotted, the value jumps significantly. Another popular error involves repunched mint marks, where the little D, or S was stamped more than once. These small variations are like gold to collectors who love discovering what others have overlooked. One of the most exciting errors is the off-center strike, where the design doesn't sit perfectly on the coin. These misalignments, depending on how severe, can also raise the value. Some collectors look for what's called a BIE error, where a small die break between the letters B and E in Liberty makes it look like there's an extra I. These quirky little flaws make the coins stand out in a crowd. And let's talk about color. While most older pennies have turned brown over time, a bright red 1954 penny that retains its original mint luster can be worth far more. These red coins, often preserved in coin folders or albums, are prized by collectors. So how do you know if your 1954 penny is valuable? First, check for a mint mark. Then examine its color, look for any signs of errors, and assess its condition. If it appears nearly flawless, it could be worth sending to a professional grading service. Companies like PCGS and NGC specialize in grading and authenticating coins. When a 1954 penny comes back with a high grade and certification, it opens the door to the serious coin collecting market, and serious money. Coin shows, auctions, and online marketplaces are constantly buzzing with activity as collectors search for rare and high-quality 1954 pennies. Some collectors even go through thousands of old penny rolls from banks and estate sales, hoping to find that one rare gem. It's not just a hobby. For many, it's a lifelong passion. The hunt for rare coins is like modern-day treasure hunting, and the 1954 penny is one of those treasures waiting to be discovered. You may be wondering, if so many 1954 pennies were made, why would anyone pay thousands of dollars for one? The answer is simple: rarity within condition and quality. It's not about how many were minted. It's about how many have survived in top condition. As time goes on, fewer and fewer high-quality 1954 pennies remain. Coins wear down, get damaged, or simply disappear into forgotten jars and junk drawers. That's what makes pristine examples so incredibly valuable. And when you combine perfect condition with a dramatic mint error, that's when the real magic happens. These coins become centerpieces in collections, and their value skyrockets. So, the next time you come across an old penny from the 1950s, take a closer look. Check for mint marks, inspect for errors, and see if it still has its original red shine. You could be holding something extraordinary. It's happened before. People have discovered valuable coins in inherited collections, flea markets, or even in their pocket change. It's the kind of story that makes headlines and fuels the dreams of collectors everywhere. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. What's the highest known value ever paid for a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny? Among all the coins produced that year, there was one that stood out, a stunning, mint-state example with an eye-catching error. It was flawless, rare, and authenticated by professionals. The bidding war at the auction was intense. Collectors from around the country competed to own this incredible piece of numismatic history. And in the end, the gavel came down on a final, jaw-dropping price. That 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny was sold for none other than $230,000. Yes, $230,000 for a coin that started out worth just a single cent. That's the power of rarity, condition, and a little bit of luck. So check your coin jars, dig through your old collections, and take a closer look. Because the next big coin discovery could be sitting right in your hand, hiding in plain sight. Top 6. In the world of coin collecting, the most surprising treasures are often the ones that seem the most ordinary. A small, copper-colored coin that you've seen 1,000 times could be hiding a story, a secret, or even a fortune. And one of the most intriguing examples of this? The 1964 Lincoln cent. At first glance, the 1964 penny may not look like much. It's a coin most of us have handled countless times without a second thought. But for those in the know, this little cent is far more than pocket change. It could be a window into history, and in rare cases, a source of serious money. The 1964 Lincoln penny came at a pivotal moment in American history. The country was in the middle of dramatic social change, political shifts, and economic evolution. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and President Lyndon B. Johnson had just taken office following the tragic assassination of JFK. Meanwhile, behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint, big changes were happening. The Mint was experiencing a coin shortage that would soon lead to major changes in American currency, including the discontinuation of silver in most coins. But before that, millions of copper pennies were struck in 1964. The 1964 penny still carried the timeless design created by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. On the obverse, we see the familiar side profile of Abraham Lincoln. The reverse at that time still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the original wheat ears in 1959. Even though it looks familiar, the 1964 Lincoln cent is not to be overlooked. While over 6.4 billion of these coins were minted, only a tiny number remain in pristine condition or contain rare mint errors. These are the coins that attract collectors and drive values to the sky. The mint facilities that struck these coins were in Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell the difference by the presence or absence of a mint mark. A small D below the date means the coin was minted in Denver. No mint mark? Then it came from Philadelphia. Of the two, some of the rarest high-grade examples and error coins came from the Denver Mint. However, both mints had quirks that make certain 1964 pennies extremely collectible. One of the most important factors that determines the value of a 1964 penny is its condition. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, with anything above 65 considered mint state, or MS. Coins in this condition retain their full luster, original shine, and no signs of wear. Imagine holding a 1964 penny that looks like it just came off the press. The shine, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the clean surfaces, these are qualities collectors are willing to pay a premium for, especially when paired with rarity. But condition isn't the only thing that makes a coin valuable. Mint errors are another critical piece of the puzzle. And in 1964, several fascinating errors occurred that turned ordinary cents into prized possessions. One of the most sought-after errors from this year is the doubled die obverse. This happens when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned, causing letters or numbers, especially the date or the word, Liberty, to appear doubled. It's subtle, but collectors know what to look for. Another valuable mistake is the off-center strike. These errors occur when the coin blank isn't properly positioned, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin can be. Repunched mint marks also occurred in 1964. In the past, mint marks were added by hand, which means a misplacement could lead to a mark being punched in twice, slightly overlapping. These varieties are collectible and often command high prices. There are even stories of transitional planchet errors, coins accidentally struck on blanks intended for other denominations or earlier years. These are incredibly rare but known to exist, and when authenticated, they're worth a fortune. Color also matters. Most circulated pennies turn a dull brown over time, but some have been preserved so well that they retain their original red color from the day they were minted. These red, graded coins are significantly more valuable than their brown or red-brown counterparts. Grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are the gold standard when it comes to determining a coin's true condition and market value. Coins certified by these institutions are trusted by collectors worldwide. Even if you're not a professional collector, knowing what to look for in your loose change or inherited coin collections can lead to surprising discoveries. Many people have found valuable coins in the most unexpected places: old jars, desk drawers, and even beneath couch cushions. The 1964 penny is also popular among collectors because it represents the end of an era. It was the last year pennies were minted with 95% copper before the copper content was reduced. This gives the 1964 cent a certain historical weight that makes it stand out. Because of its historical context, design appeal, and unique variations, the 1964 Lincoln penny has remained a favorite among numismatists. It's not just another old coin, it's a piece of America's story. As the years go by, high-quality examples of this coin become harder to find. Natural wear and tear slowly erode the remaining pieces. That's why today, Finding a mint state or error 1964 penny is like striking gold. Collectors often trade tips and information in online forums, coin shows, and auction houses, all in hopes of finding or acquiring one of these special coins. It's a world where knowledge, patience, and a little luck can really pay off, and it's not just seasoned collectors who get lucky. Regular people have stumbled upon valuable coins simply by paying attention. That's why every penny you pick up is worth a second glance. You never know what you're holding. So, what's the most someone has paid for a 1964 Lincoln penny? Among the billions struck, one coin stood out as a near-perfect specimen. It was examined by grading professionals and confirmed to be in elite condition with a rare mint error. This coin became the centerpiece of a private auction where serious collectors battled for ownership. It wasn't about just having a coin. It was about holding a once-in-a-lifetime artifact that told a bigger story. And when the bidding ended, and the final gavel dropped, that 1-cent coin had sold for an astonishing amount. A number that would make anyone take a second look at their spare change. The final selling price of that rare 1964 Lincoln penny was $185,000. Yes, you heard that right. $185,000 for a coin that originally cost just a single cent to make. That's the incredible power of numismatics. So before you toss that old penny into a change jar or forget it in a drawer, take a closer look. You could be holding history. You could be holding value. You could be holding your own hidden fortune. Top 7. Have you ever looked closely at the pennies lying around your home? In your car's cup holder, your kitchen drawer, or that old dusty jar in the garage? What if I told you one of those pennies could be worth a small fortune? Today, we're diving into a coin that might look like ordinary pocket change but could be hiding an extraordinary secret: the 1963 Lincoln 1-cent penny. A copper coin that, in the right condition and with the right error, can be worth thousands, or even more. Now, the 1963 Lincoln penny may not be the rarest coin in American history, but there's something special about it. Something that turns heads in coin collecting circles. It's not just about age. It's about condition, minting errors, and historical context. The design of this coin might look familiar, and that's because it's been a part of American coinage for decades. The obverse features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, a tribute that began all the way back in 1909, celebrating the centennial of his birth. By 1963, the wheat stalks on the back had long been replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959. This was the version that many Americans grew up with, Lincoln on both sides of the coin, in statue and profile. But 1963 wasn't just another year. It was a pivotal moment in American history. President John F. Kennedy was still in office, and the country stood on the edge of political and cultural transformation. This gives every coin minted that year a place in that backdrop of change. The U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies in 1963. Over 750 million in Philadelphia and over 1.7 billion in Denver. So yes, they're not rare just by quantity. But rarity in numismatics isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived in perfect condition, and with mistakes. Let's talk about condition first. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. Anything above 60 is considered mint state. A penny from 1963 graded at MS 67 or higher? That's extremely rare. Most coins circulated for years, getting scratched, worn, and forgotten. Collectors hunt for coins that retain their original shine, a bright red tone, free from scratches or fingerprints. These are called red coins, and they're more valuable than their brown or red-brown counterparts. The color alone can dramatically increase value. Now, where things get exciting is the world of mint errors. A 1963 penny with an error can change everything. A simple mistake at the mint can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. And believe it or not, these errors aren't as rare as you'd think. One of the most sought-after errors is the doubled die. This means the design elements, like the date or letters, were stamped twice, slightly off, creating a doubling effect. It can be subtle or obvious, but either way, collectors pay big for it. Another popular error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly aligned, causing the design to be printed off to the side. The more off-center it is, up to about 50%, the more valuable the coin. Then there are repunched mint marks. In 1963, mint marks were still manually punched onto the dies. Sometimes, they were punched more than once in slightly different spots. This created visible doubling of the D mint mark, and that's a big deal in coin collecting. Some 1963 pennies were also struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the wrong metal blank. Imagine a penny struck on a dime silver blank, or even on a foreign coin blank. These are incredibly rare and often discovered by accident. So, what should you be looking for in a 1963 penny? First, check for a mint mark. No mark means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. Then check the condition. Is it shiny, red, and smooth? That's a good sign. Next, look for doubling, misalignments, or unusual characteristics. Many valuable 1963 pennies were discovered by everyday people, not professional collectors. They were found in change, at estate sales, inside old piggy banks, or hidden in boxes of forgotten coins. That's part of what makes this story so thrilling. It's not just about history or numbers. It's about the thrill of the hunt. That idea that something so small, so common, might actually be worth far more than we imagine. And the truth is, people have cashed in on 1963 pennies. Some coins graded at MS67 red have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. And when an error coin of that quality is found, that's when values can go through the roof. Coin auctions are filled with stories of people who stumbled upon coins they didn't realize were valuable until they had them graded and authenticated. That step, getting your coin professionally graded, is the difference between guessing and knowing. Institutions like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins and assign them grades that are trusted worldwide. A coin with a top grade and certified error is a magnet for collectors, especially when it's part of American history like the 1963 Lincoln penny. Collectors value more than just rarity, they value the story. A 1963 penny with a perfect strike, bright red finish, and a rare mint error isn't just a coin. It's a snapshot of the past, sealed in copper, preserved for the future. And as each year passes, high-quality coins from 1963 become harder to find. Most have been lost, damaged, or corroded. That's why when one in top condition surfaces, the demand, and the price, can be staggering. Imagine holding one in your hand. It weighs only a few grams. It's the size of your thumbnail. But its value? That could be life-changing. That's the mystery and magic behind numismatics. The study and collecting of coins. If you have a 1963 penny, don't rush to spend it. Examine it closely. Hold it under a magnifying glass. Look at the date, the mint mark, the lettering, and the color. What might seem like a simple coin could be a treasure hiding in plain sight. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Among all the billions of 1963 pennies produced, one stood out from the rest. A pristine coin, graded at the highest level, featuring a dramatic mint error that made it truly one-of-a-kind. It was brought to auction, certified and authenticated. Collectors from across the country battled to claim it. It was a showdown of passion, prestige, and deep pockets, and when the final bid came through, the hammer dropped, and history was made. That one little penny, so easy to overlook, was sold for the jaw-dropping sum of $180,000. That's right, $180,000 for a coin that could have easily slipped through your fingers unnoticed. So maybe it's time to go through your change, because your own hidden fortune might be waiting to be found. Top 8. What if I told you that a coin you've likely held hundreds of times, maybe even thousands, could secretly be worth a fortune? That among the countless pennies that pass through our hands every day, one could change your life forever? Today, we're taking a closer look at the humble yet powerful 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It's not flashy, it's not rare by mintage numbers, but it hides secrets that make coin collectors around the world sit up and pay attention. The 1975 penny is one of those coins that most people completely overlook. It blends in. It's copper, small, and found almost everywhere. But there's more than meets the eye. Sometimes, it's the ordinary coins that carry extraordinary value. This little 1-cent coin carries over a century of legacy. The Lincoln Cent series began in 1909, commemorating Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and what a person to choose. By 1975, the reverse of the Lincoln penny had long since transitioned from the wheat ears to the grand image of the Lincoln Memorial, a change that happened in 1959 to mark 150 years since Lincoln's birth. But the design remained iconic and instantly recognizable. Millions of Americans grew up with the Lincoln Memorial cent. We've all seen it. We've spent it on candy, watched it collect dust in jars, and maybe even tossed it on the ground without a second thought. But not all pennies are created equal. In 1975, the U.S. Mint struck over 5 billion Lincoln cents. Philadelphia and Denver were the two primary minting facilities. Coins from Philadelphia had no mint mark. Those from Denver carried the familiar D under the date. With such a massive number produced, it's easy to assume they're worthless. But here's where it gets interesting. A small percentage of these coins, just a handful, are now worth thousands, or even much more, depending on condition and specific features. Condition is everything in coin collecting. Most 1975 pennies circulated heavily. They're scratched, dulled, and worn. But a few have survived in pristine mint state, never having been spent or mishandled. These are the ones that make collectors' eyes light up. The highest quality coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A 1975 penny that receives a grade of MS 67 or above is extremely rare and highly desirable. Especially if it retains its original red luster. These coins are referred to as red coins by grading companies. They exhibit the original coppery red hue, untouched by air or human handling. Over time, copper darkens, so finding a red 1975 penny in perfect condition is a true discovery. But even more valuable than condition is uniqueness, and that's where mint errors come in. These errors, created unintentionally during the minting process, turn ordinary coins into one-of-a-kind treasures. One of the most well-known errors collectors chase is the double die. This error happens when the coin's design is struck twice slightly misaligned. You'll notice doubling in areas like the word Liberty, the date, or In God We Trust. Another dramatic error is the off-center strike. When the blank coin isn't properly aligned in the press, it results in a misprinted design, sometimes with part of Lincoln's head missing or only half of the reverse struck. The more extreme the error, the more it's worth. Repunched mint marks are another collector favorite. In 1975, the mint marks were still applied by hand. That means errors occurred, like a D being punched twice in slightly different spots. These are small but significant in value. Sometimes coins were even struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank used was intended for another denomination or foreign coin. A penny struck on a dime blank, for instance, can be worth a huge premium due to its rarity. These types of errors are incredibly rare. But they do exist. And every once in a while, one slips through the cracks and ends up in someone's change, unnoticed for years. That's where the mystery begins. People have found valuable error coins at yard sales, flea markets, inside coin rolls from the bank, and even in old family collections. It's not just professional collectors getting lucky. It could be anyone, including you. Authentication is a must. Before you get excited about a coin's value, it needs to be examined by a professional. Organizations like PCGS and NGC certify coins, assign grades, and validate errors. This gives the coin legitimacy and unlocks its true market value. A certified, high-grade 1975 penny with a dramatic error can make waves in the collecting world. Coin auctions feature bidding wars over rare examples, and the prices can soar to unbelievable heights when the right piece comes along. Collectors look for coins that are not only rare but also visually striking. A bold double die, a 50% off-center strike, or an unusual coloration can add significant value. Every little detail counts. And as time passes, the number of high-quality 1975 pennies left in the world only decreases. Wear, corrosion, and loss reduce the pool every year, making surviving specimens all the more special. The Lincoln penny is also a symbol of American culture. It's not just currency, it's a reminder of one of our greatest leaders, a relic from a time when craftsmanship mattered even in everyday coins. Think about it. Something as small and unassuming as a penny could hold enough value to change your life. You could be holding history in your hands without even realizing it. That's why coin hunting has become such a popular hobby. It combines passion, patience, and the thrill of the unknown. Every penny you check is a chance to uncover something remarkable. So, what happened to one of the rarest 1975 pennies ever found? It wasn't discovered in a vault or a museum. It was uncovered by an amateur collector who sent it off for grading after noticing something unusual in the lettering. The coin came back graded at an astonishing level, nearly perfect. Not only that, but it had a dramatic double die error that made it one of a kind. Once authenticated, the coin's value skyrocketed. It went to auction, where expert bidders recognized its significance immediately. The battle for ownership was fierce, with bids climbing higher and higher. The final sale left even experienced collectors in awe. That single 1975 Lincoln penny, once forgotten, was sold for a jaw-dropping amount. Its final price? $140,000. Yes, you heard that right. $140,000 for a coin that originally cost just 1 cent to make. Proof that even the most ordinary things can carry extraordinary value. So next time you find a 1975 penny in your pocket, stop and take a closer look. You might just be holding the next big discovery, your very own piece of hidden American treasure. Top 9. Have you ever taken a moment to really look at the coins you carry around every day? Most of us don't think twice about a penny. It's small, easy to lose, and often ignored. But what if one of those pennies is secretly worth more than your entire car? In today's video, we're diving deep into one particular coin that's been hiding in plain sight, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This unassuming copper coin could be worth a fortune, and most people have no idea it holds such potential value. The Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in American history. Introduced in 1909, it was the first coin to feature a real person, none other than President Abraham Lincoln. Since then, it has been a staple in American pockets for well over a century. By 1978, the reverse side of the penny still featured the stately Lincoln Memorial, which replaced the wheat ears design back in 1959. This version of the penny is one that almost every American has held, used, and likely forgotten about. The design may seem simple, but there's something incredibly special about it. Lincoln's portrait on the front and the memorial on the back create a connection between history, leadership, and national pride, all within the span of one small copper coin. In 1978, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, nearly 5 billion from the Denver Mint alone, and over 5 billion more from the Philadelphia Mint. That makes this coin one of the most heavily produced of the Lincoln Memorial series. So, with that many coins in circulation, how could any single 1978 penny be worth more than a luxury watch or even a down payment on a house? The answer lies in rarity, not in how many were made, but in how many were made perfectly, or imperfectly in the most fascinating ways. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, don't just collect based on age. They focus on condition, grading, and minting anomalies. And that's where the magic of the 1978 penny comes into play. First, let's talk about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, mint-state coin. Most 1978 pennies you find today are dull, scratched, and heavily circulated. But every now and then, one emerges in mint condition, untouched and flawless. These near-perfect coins are called red by grading agencies like PCGS and NGC. That means the coin retains its original bright red copper color. Most coins tone and darken over time, but a red coin looks almost like it was just minted yesterday. Next comes the real treasure for collectors: minting errors. These are coins that were struck incorrectly during the production process. While they may have slipped through unnoticed back in 1978, today they are hunted down like gold. One of the most sought-after errors is a double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice with slightly misaligned dies, resulting in doubled text or images. On a 1978 penny, doubling in the words "In God we trust," or the date can send its value soaring. Another rare error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned under the die, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. A 50% off-center coin with a full visible date is a collector's dream. Repunched mint marks are another valuable error. In 1978, the D mint mark on Denver minted coins was still added by hand on some dies. A repunched D, where the mint mark was struck more than once, can turn a common coin into a rare specimen. Some of the most bizarre and valuable errors come from wrong planchet strikes, where the penny was struck on the blank of another denomination or even a foreign coin. These strange mistakes are so rare, they often go undiscovered for years. The key to discovering if your 1978 penny is valuable starts with observation. Look for anything that looks unusual. Is the date doubled? Is the mint mark oddly shaped? Is the coin's edge misaligned? These are the small signs that might reveal a hidden fortune. Condition also plays a massive role. A rare error on a heavily worn coin may be worth something, but that same error on a flawless mint state coin. That's when prices reach record highs at auction. What's incredible is that these valuable coins are still out there. They're not all locked away in museums or collector safes. People have found rare 1978 pennies in pocket change, in old jars, and in dusty coin albums they forgot they even owned. Imagine this: a man buying coffee with exact change unknowingly hands over a penny worth more than the total in his bank account. It happens more than you'd think, because most people don't know what they're holding. If you think you have something special, the next step is certification. Reputable coin grading companies can examine your coin and assign it an official grade. They also verify any errors and give your coin a place in the collector market. Once a rare 1978 penny is certified, the demand goes up. Collectors start bidding. Auctions heat up. A coin that cost 1 cent in 1978 suddenly becomes the centerpiece of a serious collection. Coin collecting is no longer just a quiet hobby. It's a global market. Rare coins regularly sell for thousands, sometimes tens or hundreds of thousands. And all it takes is one special piece. The 1978 Lincoln penny holds a special place in this world because it's so unexpected. People assume it's too new, too common, too basic. But when you find the right combination of condition and error, this everyday coin becomes a superstar. Many collectors believe the 1978 penny is one of the most underrated in the Lincoln Memorial series. That means it's not just valuable now, it could become even more sought after in the future. So don't ignore those pennies you find under the couch or at the bottom of your old wallet. Take a few minutes to inspect them. You might just find a detail that transforms your coin into something incredibly rare. It's not every day that history, error, and perfect preservation align. But when they do, especially on something as overlooked as a 1978 penny, it creates a perfect storm in the world of numismatics. And that brings us to the most astonishing part of all. One flawless 1978 Lincoln penny, featuring a dramatic mint error and graded among the highest ever recorded, was auctioned off to a collector who understood its rarity and value. This coin didn't just turn heads, it made headlines. The bidding was intense, the excitement was real, and in the end, a new benchmark was set for this copper beauty. That single penny, struck in 1978, once lost to time and tucked away in a private collection, sold for a staggering amount. The final sale price of that penny? $125,000. Yes, 1 cent transformed into $125,000. All because someone took the time to look closely, ask questions, and get the coin authenticated. So maybe it's time to take a second look at your change, because treasures are hiding in the smallest of places. Top 10. Have you ever looked at a simple penny and thought, what if this is the one? It sounds unbelievable, but the truth is, that little copper coin in your hand could be hiding a secret worth thousands. Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and mysterious coins in American history, the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This isn't just any ordinary coin. It's a key part of U.S. coinage history and holds incredible potential value for collectors. At first glance, the 1982 penny looks like any other Lincoln cent. It features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Millions of Americans have handled this coin without a second thought. But 1982 wasn't an ordinary year for the Lincoln penny. In fact, it was a major turning point, a transitional year that completely changed the composition of the coin. And that change opened the door to one of the greatest modern numismatic mysteries. Up until 1982, Lincoln pennies were made primarily of copper, 95% copper to be exact. But due to rising metal costs, the U.S. Mint decided to change the coin's composition. Starting that year, pennies were instead made with a zinc core and just a thin copper coating. The result? 2 different types of pennies were struck in the same year, one made from solid copper and one made from copper-coated zinc. And that's just the beginning of what makes this coin so fascinating. Not only were there 2 metal compositions, but there were also 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny: large date copper, small date copper, large date zinc, small date zinc, and a few rare transitional errors. Each variety has its own distinct features and collector appeal. Identifying whether your 1982 penny is copper or zinc is surprisingly easy. Just weigh it. Copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc versions weigh only 2.5 grams. This small difference can mean a huge change in value. The large and small date variations also add complexity. The shape of the numbers in the date, particularly the 2 and the 8, help determine which variety you have. Collectors carefully study these details to find the rarest combinations. What makes the 1982 penny truly special is the number of errors and oddities that occurred during this transitional period. When 2 different compositions are struck in the same year, mistakes are bound to happen. That's exactly what happened in 1982. Some coins were struck on the wrong planchets, resulting in transitional errors, where a coin meant to be struck on zinc was actually struck on a copper planchet, or vice versa. These errors are extremely rare, and when found, they send shockwaves through the numismatic world. Even the smallest inconsistency can make a coin worth thousands of dollars. One of the most famous finds was a 1982 small date penny struck on a copper planchet. For a long time, it was believed no such coin existed. But when one was found, authenticated, and sold, it changed everything. Collectors began scrambling to check their 1982 pennies. Suddenly, every old coin jar and piggy bank was a potential gold mine. People started weighing their coins, examining dates, and sending possible finds off to be graded. The value of a rare 1982 penny depends on several factors: the metal composition, the size of the date, the condition of the coin, and of course, whether there are any mint errors or anomalies. Condition is incredibly important. Coins that are uncirculated or in mint state are always worth more. Red pennies, those that still have their original copper luster, are especially desirable among collectors. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A 1982 penny that scores MS 65 or higher is already considered valuable. If it's a rare variety in that condition, the price can climb very quickly. Mint marks also play a role. In 1982, some pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by a D under the date, while others were struck in Philadelphia, with no mint mark at all. Both locations produced varieties that collectors still hunt for today. Another reason the 1982 penny holds so much mystery is that it's easy to overlook. Millions of them are still in circulation. Most people would never suspect that such a common-looking coin could be anything more than pocket change. But that's exactly what makes this story so exciting. It proves that treasure can be hidden in plain sight. You don't need to dig for gold or search deep oceans. Sometimes, all it takes is flipping over a penny. Many collectors love the thrill of the hunt. Finding a rare 1982 penny is like finding a needle in a haystack, but it's that possibility, however small, that keeps the passion alive. There are even stories of people finding these rare pennies while coin roll hunting, a popular hobby where collectors go through rolls of coins from the bank in search of valuable specimens. Others have discovered them in their grandparents' change jars or in forgotten drawers. These coins, left untouched for decades, may still be hiding in homes across the country. Once a potentially valuable coin is found, the next step is to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can determine the coin's authenticity, grade, and ultimately its market value. Coins that are authenticated and given a high grade can fetch serious money at auction. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for rare varieties, especially if only a few are known to exist. In fact, the excitement around 1982 pennies has led to some intense bidding wars at major auctions. When one of these coins comes up for sale, it draws attention from serious collectors across the country. It's not just about the money either. For many collectors, owning a rare 1982 penny is about holding a piece of history, a coin that tells the story of change, transition, and unexpected value. Every scratch, every shine, every oddity on the surface of a penny can mean something important. It's this incredible attention to detail that makes coin collecting such a rich and rewarding hobby. If you're holding on to a 1982 penny right now, it might be worth more than you think. Especially if it's in excellent condition, has a rare variety, or features an unusual minting error. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value of one of the rarest and most desirable 1982 Lincoln pennies, discovered in near-perfect condition, with a dramatic transitional error. That single copper beauty, struck during a year of change, preserved through decades, and verified by expert hands. Sold at auction for a stunning amount. That 1982 Lincoln 1-cent penny was sold for exactly $105,000. Yes, $105,000 for a coin that most people would ignore on the ground. So the next time you see a penny, take a second look, because hidden history and hidden wealth might just be staring back at you.